Greetings, dear ladies. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. My partner steps away. It's an unusual time, this sisterhood meeting. As many times as I've been with you, the ladies of the sisterhood, it's a little different. And almost every time that we have gathered together, the ladies have been from the region. And this is not the case tonight. Even in the foreign lands, the gathering of a sisterhood would be the women of the region. Not necessarily tonight. What you have here is many countries represented, coming together to honor a sisterhood, some of you not really understanding what that might mean, but it's different. So it's a gathering that is international and not from the region. Now for this, the metaphor is clear. The sisterhood is not of the region. Truly, it is multinational, international, and involves women all over the earth. And I want to discuss for just a moment what that means. And again, to reiterate what has happened, the message, and where it's going next. The sisterhood, you would think, is a time of remembering. And in the over 50 channels that I have given, most of the time we speak of what it was like, so that you would have an inkling, perhaps, an Akashic remembrance of the very, very beginning times. Now, through the years that we have been talking about this, you might have seen the information morph a little bit. And then last year, something happened. The revelation of the Lemurian teaching wheel. I wanted to start my partner pushing forward with what I'm going to call the core spiritual truths of the planet. And the interesting thing for you as Lemurian sisters is that this core spiritual truth is in your Akash. Now let's just stop for a moment. This multinational group may have not heard all of the things that I have said before. What are the chances that you're a woman now, after thousands of years, and you were a woman then? I'll say it again. The plan was this, that you would be a woman at 2012, if you passed the marker, dear ones, that gender would be important, because that's the gender that was important then, when you started to be taught as the shamans of the planet. Also, a review. I want you to remember that Lemuria wasn't just a time of teaching. This was the Akashic launching pad of the planet, along with other places that the Pleiadians were and taught. This one was special. It was the longest lasting. It was isolated. It was pure. It never changed. And the teaching remained the same. This teaching that you had in Lemuria was etched into your Akash so that the next place that you would incarnate, you'd remember it. Some of you used it right away. Some of you did not. Now that is free choice. Some of you incarnated later in another gender. We've talked about that as well. But really the purpose was that this was a seed. You were trained in the actual, what we will call Lemurian wheel knowledge. Not only were you trained as a Lemurian, you were trained as a Lemurian woman. Now that was special because it contained that which was shamanic information. You have the seeds of leadership. It's not just the leadership of the family or maybe a country. You have the leadership as a shamanic teacher of the core truths, right from the Pleiadian mothers. You sat in front of star teachers and learned it. You may have forgotten it, lifetime after lifetime. After all, thousands of years went by. But then again, we remind you that the Akash of the human being, that is the record of what has transpired inside, is kept in your DNA, and it's timeless. It doesn't go away with time. It doesn't diminish with time. The Akash is truly a multidimensional aspect of you. And it's just as fresh now as it was then, dear ladies, if you allow it to be. Every single one of you. Did you hear that? We have so many meetings where I'll say most of you are Lemurian. Every single one of you were. You have come to these meetings in this group on purpose to concentrate on that which is esoteric. And that is not an accident. You all were there, all of you. And that means that every single one has that seed of remembrance. What are you going to do with that? What's the purpose? Truly, what's the purpose? We have discussed this. The purpose of the sisterhood is even changing. It is starting to go away from education and ceremony and remembrance to a practical state of discussion of what is next. What do you do with core Lemurian teaching truths of the planet? Let's say you go back to your home. It may be in this country, it may not be. What does it mean to you? I'll tell you. You start to awaken to things that perhaps you feel are intuitive or always been there, but they're different. They start to change how you would treat others, how you treat your family, how you feel about your own healing in your own body. When you look in the mirror, it starts to reflect that which is God. One of the spokes of the Lemurian teaching wheel, a profound one, one of the most profound ones, was the mirror. And this was the teaching that says that as you look at yourself, you look at everyone. And as you see yourself, you see the creative source. You see the Lemurian teaching mother. It is, again, a part of the oneness that we start to teach. What you are doing now is starting to remember seed truth. And that starts to then blossom as a seed would. And it blossoms in freshness, not in ancientness. And the first thing you start to feel is your sacredness. You are sacred. You truly are. And that is the first thing I would like to discuss yet again. Yet again. Born magnificent you are. Sacred you are. Don't let anything that you have ever been told diminish that. Truly, you are worthy of taking the messages, the feelings, the emotions, and that seed truth back home. And when it starts to blossom, that's what you start asking yourself, what do I do with it? Ladies, I will tell you, this is going to be intuitive. Now you may in a sisterhood start to discuss what that means, what those truths are, how they would apply to your family, for instance, to your jobs, for instance, how that would be for each and every one of you, perhaps differently, but you have a commonality, knowledge. Beautiful, sacred, profound teaching knowledge. Don't be disturbed if you cannot remember the specifics of it. It comes out in how you teach others, how you act in times of trial and drama and passion. This is the truth. And that is what is starting to spread here. There is so much beauty in this. This is what the planet needs. Guidance. Guidance from the shamanic women of Lemuria. You're trained. You're the priests. You're the ones who are going to carry the flag eventually of the seed truths of the Pleiadians. You're the ones. Generations from now, these channelings will survive. And they may be looked at as the core truth that starts to reemerge. And there will be far, far more women spiritual teachers on the planet. Generations from now. It starts to blossom now. You're already seeing what's wrong with celibacy with men. You're already starting to see the breakdown of the system that exists. And then the revelation that will occur to the public, to the church even, is that women are built for spiritual teaching. They are the ones with the passion, the intuition. They are the teachers of the children. They're the ones who know things far, far in excess of the other gender. This is the beginning. It blossoms now. That's the sisterhood. So the sisterhood is part of the seed reemergence of the shamanic teaching that says that women should carry these things. So when you go home, one thing, if you had to remember one thing, you're sacred. You really are. And inside you, there's more than you think. More than I would tell a group of men and women. A lot more. Can you imagine, just for a moment, what it might be to sit in front of a Pleiadian? She'd be a bit taller than you are. Actually, quite a bit. And her voice you'd never forget. The voice is different than a human voice. The vocal cord is split. She can sing two tones at the same time. And when she speaks, that has a sound that is in your Akash. You'll never forget it. You have Pleiadian DNA. Did you know that? Pieces and parts of the human that you think you are has come from the stars. Not everyone can say that they have sat in front of a Pleiadian mother and received the beautiful teaching. I want you to try to rekindle that memory. Because when you do that, then the things that she taught you will start to come back. Just as the things that your own mother taught you will fleet by in your memory, and you'll remember them and you'll smile. But this one, this is different. This is a star mother. And that's what you carry, dear ladies. And you start to remember. That's what's going to blossom. Let the meeting begin. And so it is.